And so we stuck together. But I wanted to continue that spirit because we all found acceptance with each other by connecting
Mhm.
in that vulnerable state. So if I reflect back a year ago, it felt like a failure that we weren't moving forward after a year. But when I look at it now, I think there was something really good there, and this is what it can be now. And this opens it up to more people.
This is Leadership Sound Bites. Real leaders, real moments, real growth.
Welcome to this week's episode of Leadership Soundbites with my very special guest, Kathleen Wisemandle. You and I met, I'm trying to think is it Raphael?
It is for Raphael, yes.
Okay, because so here's the connection of that is that Meredith Mangold introduced me to Raphael, and then Raphael and I met, and then Raphael introduced me to you and someone else. And so I freaking love networking
Me too.
where I did not even have to get in the car and drive anywhere.
I know it's wonderful. I love those plus ones. They're the
Yes,
best.
it's so cool. So you are a founder and leadership coach. And before we hit record, we were talking about just pivoting, transitioning, going from, you got 30 plus years in corporate world.
Yes.
And then, okay, so you know what? I'm gonna take this little turn right here.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a try.
I'm gonna try this little turn. Yeah. So I'm excited to be in the room with you. And I know you've got a really cool
Thank
quote,
you.
and then we'll kind of chat and see what there is that comes up.
Okay, sounds great. So you want me to take it away and give you my
Yes,
quote? Okay,
that would be awesome.
this one really stuck with me, and it says, "It doesn't go away, that feeling that you shouldn't take me that seriously. I share with you because we all have doubts in our abilities about our power and what that power is." And the quote is by Michelle Obama. And I thought, wow, if Michelle Obama can feel that way, it's real. I mean, this was something I found when I was doing a presentation on imposter syndrome, and I thought, wow, even if she can feel this way, it's okay for
Um,
us to feel that way.
what is what is that to you?
I think, as you mentioned, sort of taking that step, that leap away from the safety net of corporate. Like you, I also chose to leave,
Mhm.
and I felt it was the right time for me, but yet the doubt is always there. It's easy to look back and say, wow, why did I do that? Yeah, and then you see a quote like this and you're like, well, okay, I'm not alone. But for sure, I mean, I think we're always learning, and it's an ongoing journey on entrepreneurial
Mhm.
pursuits, and yeah, sometimes that imposter syndrome can sneak up. So I think it was just nice to see that even someone so successful and so
Mhm.
brilliant could feel that way too.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I've gone to a number of Tony Robbins events, and one was as recent as I think last week it was when it ended. And he has an opinion about imposter syndrome, and I have to agree with it. And that basically it's just fear.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's just fear.
Hmm.
So if we can, my experience has been if we can back away from a label of something, right? Because um, it's easier to manage. For instance, like if I go to the links and go, which I'm owning this thing, right? I have imposter syndrome. It feels a lot more daunting. And how do I deal with it? How do I manage it? Because I've got this label now, like, if we were to say, and I'm not, but I'm dyslexic or I'm whatever, or versus the road ahead that I do not know is kind of scary.
Yeah.
It's different. It feels different to me because the reality of it is none of us have a crystal ball.
That's
And
right.
so even in corporate, the path ahead was not known. We
Right.
had duties and processes and meetings that we had to go to and everything else, but we didn't know what was going to happen when we went to a meeting.
Right.
Maybe we had, someone that we needed to influence to find out what was going on, to bring teams together, facilitate whatever. We didn't know the outcome.
Right.
But for some reason, when we get out of that environment that is known to us, right? The environment anyway, not the things that are happening,
Right.
then we start gathering up this other stuff like, can I really do this? I mean, can I reach, me is reaching out to people, right? Because I don't want to air quote bother them.
Yes, yes, that's very,
Um, and
yes.
so I just wonder about that stuff, that it's like all it is kind of like fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
And, and the fact that we don't get the paycheck every 2 weeks or every week or once a month, however it happens. And like I told you before, and when I go on vacation now, no one's paying me.
I know. That's so wrong. Yeah,
Yes,
I know,
yes,
but it's just such
we need to work
a
with that.
reframe. Yeah, such a reframe of, yeah, all the wonderful things we get to do because of this choice, but all the things that we also leave behind because of this choice.
Hmm.
Mhm.
What are you most excited about?
I think for me, I feel like it's a generative time of my life that I get to choose how I use my energy and how I help people. And that's, I think, my biggest thing is how do I help other leaders? How do I, how can I help other coaches? How can I help other entrepreneurs? I also get from that, I learn and hear
Yeah.
and experience. So I think that is so exciting for me. It's the creativity involved with it and just the continual learning is something I think I really wanted was,
Hmm.
but with that comes, uncertainty. And
Hmm.
that's the part that's scary.
Yeah. So what do you do with it? I mean, how do you like, for me, I'm like, and I have a friend of mine that would just say, put your big girl panties on.
Yeah.
But let's just say we have them on already, right? And
Yeah.
you're moving forward. So how does it show up? Because I know how it shows up for me. And like when it shows up, what do you do about it?
Yeah. Well, I've been really lucky to find other people who are in similar situations, solopreneurs, to talk with in my network. And we kind of, coach each other, if you will.
Hmm.
And what I find is when we open up, or even in a, book discussion or something, I feel like people are sharing some of the things they're dealing with. And that insight and also community just seems to help get you
Hmm.
through it. I think when I first started, I didn't necessarily do that. I was so maybe scared, but also had to like build that muscle.
Hmm.
And it felt much more lonely, and I wasn't sure what to do with those things. But now I feel like I have a community to sort of reach out to, and yeah, it's really helpful to have that.
Hmm. Well, and what comes to mind for me, it's the same thing that we do. I don't know if you facilitate group coaching sessions and stuff for clients. What I hear from people when people come together like that is, I'm not the only one that feels this way.
Yes, it's always that, isn't it? It's
And that is so
lovely.
freeing. It's like the quote that you said when you read the quote, and it's like, okay, I'm not the only one. Someone
Yes.
else who I look up to feels this way. So maybe this isn't as bad as I thought it was.
Yes, or I don't have to spend the energy thinking what is wrong with me. Now
Yeah.
I get to spend my energy on how do I take it and move on or reflect or do whatever, but I don't have to
Hmm.
spend energy on I'm the only one.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
is freeing, I think.
I have, and so it's like, so you've got this thing of you moving forward. You went out on your own. The word that you use is pivot, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Some people might say I took a complete left-hand turn, on whatever was going on. It's like, there's my path. No, this is my path. Um, what was it like for you? I mean, what advice would you have for people if people are listening? Because I think there's so many people that have side hustles going on.
Yes.
I didn't have a side hustle per se when I left. So there was no thing already happening.
Yeah. I got really lucky. In my 40s I went back and got my master's and I'm a biochemist, so I worked in drug development all of
Hmm.
my career. But I went back because we were going through so much transition. Every 2 years, our company was changing, and the industry was changing. And I
Hmm.
thought, how do I help people navigate this? Because I could tell it was burning people out. They were stressing and they still had to produce. And I found this little thing called change management, and I went back to school. And what I loved about it was how much psychology was involved and really focusing on the people, which I really didn't have that other than anything I had learned as a kid on teams and, being a team player or in band or whatever it was,
Yeah.
or being a mom. And it just really got me excited, which was the precursor to the coaching. So there was a lot of coursework that was related to the coaching. So when I started reflecting back, maybe fast forward 10 years, thinking, what's this constant theme I'm feeling as I'm going through my career? What is that feeling? And I thought, oh, this is it. I really need something different, and I want to do something different. And if I don't do it now, I will regret it. That
Hmm.
was another piece. I'm sure you're nodding like this is really something that was important. So I thought if I don't try it, I will never know. And the coaching was so close to being a certification just because of that curriculum. And I knew what I loved about it, and I had used it in my own direct reports, so I knew I loved it. So I thought I would do that. Now, at the same time, when I did leave, I also started consulting in this space that I had known my whole career for
Hmm.
startup companies. But with the different things happening over the last few years in that particular part of the industry, it just really wasn't working. There wasn't a lot in my area.
Hmm.
So I just recently said, this is it. I'm going straight away to the coaching, and it felt really freeing.
I love that. But what I was wondering though, it felt freeing. Did it like reset the scary part again? I mean,
Sure,
you're
it
gonna,
sure did, for
yeah,
sure did.
I'm thinking, I bet it did when you're dropping off, even though you don't love that thing, or if it wasn't working or whatever it is, it's like, this is the thing I'm gonna do. And then you're like, I'm gonna like intentionally let go of something. Like,
Well, and to be honest, it had, for over the last year and a half, I was thinking I would, and I would get scared and I would go, get pulled back in and I would go back in. That's what I
mhm,
knew. That's where my experience is
yeah.
and my knowledge. And that's what I was rewarded on through my career. So it's really easy to get tugged back in. And again, it doesn't mean that I couldn't go back if I wanted to, but I just needed to. I just said I needed to give something 100%, and the coaching was where I was feeling that gratitude for it. And the work that I
Yeah.
am doing in group coaching and individual coaching is so wonderful that I decided, let's
Hmm.
just try.
Yeah, I tell people all the time when I left Sutter, and went into coaching, I've got leadership development. I still do process improvement work and
Yeah,
finance, setting up stuff every once in a while with people that know me.
sure.
But it was, and what I told them was I was going off to do what filled my cup.
Hmm.
And that's what it felt like for me. It was like I can do this work, and it's like the podcast, right? We're in the fifth year now. I
That's
can do
amazing.
this work, and it's not exhausting. I mean, there are things that I do get exhausted and I get frustrated, and because I'm still, building the cars I'm driving down the road. Some people say they're building the plane as they're flying, but I don't recommend that.
Yeah, that doesn't sound safe.
I would rather be on the ground. So if something happens, I'm just not moving forward,
I like that.
not plummeting to the ground to my
Yeah.
death. Um, but it's like I'm still doing that, with all the stuff going on. But that it's for the most part, I don't ever get exhausted, frustrated, none of those things with coaching and doing development. It's so rewarding because you see it with your clients immediately.
Yes.
And then you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
It is. It feels to me like a little bit of magic because it just works and people find their own insight it's within them the whole time is what I like to
Yeah.
say. But yeah, it's really rewarding work. And yeah, I think it's a good place for me right now. And I can still leverage my experience just in different ways with leadership development and coaching, especially in life sciences. So I think
Yeah.
there's ways for me to say it's not all or nothing.
There are, and it's interesting because there's niches that you can go into. It's like if people meet you, it's like when I first met you and you said, "Yeah, I'm, a scientist." I'm like, "Okay, that is not what I would have expected, like at all. That would not."
Yeah.
And so it's like this out of left field kind of thing, just meeting you.
Yeah.
And yet there are many more people like you that can use the help and use the help from somebody for them to get unstuck who understands the world they live on and live in. And granted, you don't need to have experience in that world that people work.
Right.
That being said, there's a relatability that you have that others do not have.
Yeah, I really believe that to be true. I do. I think when I'm working with other coaches, I can see where they have benefits from the experience they brought into
Hmm.
coaching.
Hmm.
And certain clients, I can see I was very heavy in operations, so even when I have an operational client, I get some of those things, and it can be helpful to be
Hmm.
seen.
Yeah, no, I agree. Um, what's next for you? I mean, what's your next biggest project?
Well, I am going into the podcast world, which is actually
I
how we
just
got
love
introduced.
that.
So
I
thank you
just
so
love
much.
that.
But I'm initially starting with just some small steps to just learn the process with some mini-sodes of leadership content. And then I anticipate next year to be able to go into something a little bit bigger, which is my actual goal of hearing stories from other women who
Hmm.
have decided after a long career, pivoting or changing or doing something differently, doing something different and not quite sure what it is, but
Hmm.
that they're making it through. Because as you and I had talked, I think there's a lot of women out there that think they're alone in that feeling of what's next for me. I'm not done yet, but I don't know if I want to. I might be done with this part of my career, but what
Hmm.
do I want to do next? And some of it's work, and some of it's art, some of it's philanthropy or volunteer work. I mean, everyone has a different path, but I think those stories are beautiful. So,
Hmm. I am listening to you, and part of the question that I have around stuff is when you look at what you did, the evolution of your pivot, right? Air quote
mhm.
pivot. Is I'm not a huge fan of going, and I used to say it, it's like, what advice would you give your younger self? What would you
Oh,
do
yeah, yeah, yeah.
differently, air quote? But I have to wonder if, as you look back, Kathleen,
Hmm.
of the journey that you've been to this point, how does what your experience has been inform the future of what you're doing? So it's not this backward, almost like, oh, I got regrets, I should have, whatever. But it's like, you know what, based on the experience here, I'm going to do this instead of that.
Yes, I really believe that I finally got to the mindset that it's experimentation and ideation. So, what am I going to try here? And if it goes great, fantastic. If it doesn't, what can I take from that and maybe move forward? And it's not that cut and dry. It might be a few months later that I finally realize what it was that I learned or took from that experience. And the bigger podcast comes from something like that. I had a community of women who were in that stage and all connecting really nicely, but we were using a platform that wasn't really conducive for what we needed. And so
Mhm.
we stuck together. But I wanted to continue that spirit because we all found acceptance with each other by connecting
Mhm.
in that vulnerable state. So if I reflect back a year ago, it felt like a failure that we weren't moving forward after a year. But when I look at it now, I think there was something really good there, and this is what it can be now. And this
Mhm.
opens it up to more people.
Um, I love it. And it's so funny. The thing in the back of my head is like, you're a freaking scientist, and science is all about experimentation, right?
Which I never really allowed myself to think that. I can't tell you how a year and a half went where I was really just beating myself up.
Isn't that
It
hilarious?
is,
It's
it's
like
just,
this is a core part of who I am and how I've been taught and developed my brain to process, and the same thing happens with doctors. doctors go into iteration and improvement and all that stuff when the whole idea of, you're going to do a diagnosis, you're going to examine, you're going to diagnose, you're going to test, we're going to try this medicine, you're going to come back and do some stuff. And yet we take that human that in that environment, they're thinking and acting a certain way. You as a scientist do experiments. Then we pull them into another environment and they drop that. They forget about it. And it's like,
Yes.
this is such a part of you.
No, it's really it's silly, but I mean, it took me a long time to really realize that it's all part of the bigger path, and that's okay. And
Yeah.
it's not smooth, as we said. It's bumpy, it's swervy, it's a lot of uncertainty, but I think there's some complexity in it that I like, and the creativity. I think you and I both talked about. I like
Hmm.
too. But yeah, it's been a lot of learning and accepting myself, and also letting go of that title I used to have, or the acceptance I had with a salary, or the bonus, or whatever. Those things go away, and they're not who we are anymore. But it's
Yeah,
hard.
we'll
It's hard
we'll
to let it
call it
go.
that your identity radically shifted.
Yes.
And a lot of it, it's funny you say that because my experience was I went through different careers, if you will, with Insider Health because you're able to do that in a large
Yeah.
organization and not leave the organization, right? So I was in finance for so long. And then people go, well, what do you do? Well, I am a, right? People say, what do you do?
That's
I
not
am
bad.
my identity, a finance director. And then I went from that to process improvement world. I had the hardest time telling people what I was because I had not wrapped my brain around, I'm a lean consultant. Well, what does that do?
Yeah.
What do you do then? I'm a senior. And I'm like, oh my God. And so I went through all these iterations of identity, if you will,
Identity is a
and
perfect
then
word.
go out to where you're self-employed. And though I was doing coaching, it took me a long time to be able to step in to the shoes of I'm an executive coach. I do leadership development. I do process improvement. I do change management, all this stuff. And I had to wear it for a while, try it on to go, okay, yeah, now I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good that this is what but it's the funniest freaking thing
it
when
is.
we don't realize how much of I work for this organization, I da, 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 is like this is kind of a huge part of who we are.
Really, it is. And pride, you know, it's like a badge of, an honor to have that experience. And then when you're no longer part of it, yeah, when you, like you said, when you introduce yourself to somebody, go,
Yeah.
oh, you're a coach. Like, are you a life coach? I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I mean, I get
Not
in some
really, but
ways, yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah. But that's an honorable thing. So for sure.
yeah, it's an interesting thing to wrap your brain around and then to be able to explain to people what you do because the majority of the world, I mean, I end up with clients all the time because I'm a coach on different platforms,
Yeah.
and I do my own and then I've got other platforms. And so I end up in the room with clients that it's part of a benefits package they have through the employer.
That's so nice.
So, which is awesome, by the
So
way.
nice. Yes.
Coach Hub is a platform that I work for that their goal is to democratize coaching, and they have done it. I have evidence of it.
Love it.
But I'm in the room with people that they signed up for it. Someone told them it was available, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't even know what coaching is. I don't know what to expect." I'm like, "Okay, great."
Yeah.
So they have some intro stuff, but you can have people tell you what it is, but unless till you experience what it is, you really don't know what it is. They're just words without meaning.
I think you're right. It's such a cool thing when you see someone reflect, and sort of come away with more meaning on something that they have or do. It's a great
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. So anyway, I love that kind of stuff. I'm excited for you and your podcast.
Thank you.
And the interesting part, I'm always thinking about learning. I always learn from other people, and it's so funny to hear you describe. You have this plan, okay? You're mapping out this thing, and I'm more throwing spaghetti at the wall. Okay,
Really? Oh,
I'm like I have stuff that I'll go. that'd be kind of fun to do. But there's like maybe a roadmap to it or not, or then I just start spending time doing it's like the podcast. When the
Yeah.
podcast came about, it was a friend of mine who we used to work together, and then I had left the organization, and she's like, I don't know how many months in, she's like, we need to do a podcast. And I'm like,
That.
no, we don't.
Yeah.
I had no desire. And she goes, oh yeah, we do. It'd be fun. We can da da. And I'm like, it took everything to talk me into this thing.
I love
And
it. You're a
it's so
natural.
funny, but it wasn't this like very thought out thing. It's like almost like here's a problem. Okay, here's a solution. Here's a whatever. So I have a lot of respect and in awe of people that go, I have a plan. Did you want to see my plan?
I don't know if my plan is quite that linear. I did have a friend a few years ago when I first started said, Kathleen, we need to do a podcast. And it just, the fear just came. I was like, I know, never. And I'm not exactly sure how it changed, but I think when I was listening to Amy Pollar's podcast,
Hmm.
Good Hang, I realized over time that she was interviewing people that were sharing vulnerable stories of people we don't think have bumpy roads. We
Hmm.
think everything's just super easy and they're really good at what they do, and they are, but it's not easy. And I think that to me really, I think got me excited about the podcast with women's stories or anybody's story. It can be a man as well, who's just had this awakening at some point in their career to say there's something more for me.
Hmm. Well,
Um,
and there's something more for me, and I have the courage
yeah,
to step in and figure out what that is or try it on for size. And it doesn't, you don't have to go all in, right? You
that's
don't have to like people go burn the boats, then you can't go back. You don't have to do that.
no,
You can dip your toe in the water. You can, have the side hustle that people have because there's plenty of people that, I know one person who's got a food truck and that they
oh,
do
how
on the
fun.
weekends and at night, and they're in corporate, world. So, I mean, you
That's
can do
right.
that, and
And
then you fill up a couple cups, right? If you're doing stuff that you love doing. And so I think that's part of it too, is you don't have to burn the boats and just go, I can't go all in. You don't have to go all in right now.
you don't have to go on. I
Um,
absolutely agree.
but I
Find
think
things that
it's that play with it, practice with it. I look at mine, I got coaching certification. I was still working, et cetera, because
yeah, me
the
too.
stuff contributed to what I was doing and supporting leaders, et cetera, help.
That's right.
And so there are ways to step in and do it. So it doesn't have to be this burn the boats all in. And I have to agree with you is that if there's something inside of you that you're wondering that is this all there is, or you're thinking there's more,
There's more. Yeah.
um, explore that.
I really believe that too. I'm finding that some of the folks I'm coaching are looking for their next position, whether
Hmm.
they're in work or not, whether they're out of a job. And they're having a really hard time imagining what that next thing is. They're just assuming it's what they've always done. But when you kind of open up the door to say, could it be something different? Wow, it's so neat to see them explore and go, oh my gosh, I hadn't even thought about that. So yeah, it's just nice. I think even if it's a group of people, a coach, an trusted individual, somebody who just helps you, asks curious questions to help
Hmm.
somebody move past their fixed mindset. In some of these things, it just gets fixed for us. I don't know why that is, but we do.
Yeah. It's another perspective, another way to look at stuff. The word that you just threw out there, and it's come up a lot. I mean, I use it a lot in coaching as far as, and my belief is curiosity is a superpower. In I was listening to a podcast and it was around like psychic medium channeling, that kind of thing, and they were talking about 2026. And there was an astrologer, yeah, astrologer. I think that's right, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I always get those mixed up too.
Astrology,
Yeah.
yeah, astrology and planets, the whole thing. And then she was also on the podcast of this other psychic medium channeler, and they were talking about curiosity. And there were a couple things that came up that shocked me. One of them, she was talking about AI, and she goes, she doesn't consider it to be AI, she considers it to be intelligence. And she said it's just part of our evolution.
Yeah.
We need we need to get comfortable with it. We need to get curious about it. We need to challenge and not believe everything that we see,
Yeah.
so that you get curious. Is this real or is this not? Well, we need to be more discerning so that we're not just accepting everything that's out there. Well, it was in print or it was on social media or was it, well, okay, stop,
Yeah.
right? Do a fact check, go do a gut check. And she said the word for 2026, which I usually pick a word for the year, and I'm like, is that really it? Because this year for me is playful. But the word for 2026, she said, is curiosity. We need to be more curious about everything. So don't just accept it at face value. Don't just have a judgment about somebody because they show up a certain way.
Yeah.
Get curious. I wonder what's happening. I wonder what's contributing to that XYZ behavior. Get
Yes.
curious.
Yeah, I love that too. It's not always easy for me to be curious, especially with myself. But yeah, once you open it up, it's possible to think
Mhm.
about. Yeah, I'm
And
with you.
same with the fear. So if
Yes.
you get scared or something's blocking you, because you said, like with myself, and I think about it with me, is don't just buy whatever you're selling yourself. Okay.
Right.
Ask if there's something blocking you, or you're saying to yourself, well, I can't do that.
Why
Okay.
not? Yeah.
Have the next question go, where's
Yeah.
that coming from?
Yes.
Seriously, where is that coming
Yes.
from? So that might be a really fun word actually for 26 is curiosity because it comes up all the time in coaching, all the time.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite words.
Yeah.
I think for me, I just read a book and it's an older book, but it was The Art of Possibility. I like the word possibility for me because it helps me be more positive.
Mm-hmm.
Of like, instead of saying, what do I have to do? Well, what might a possibility be? Or
Mm-hmm.
how do I make a contribution here or there? And it's just such a better place for me to think
Mm-hmm.
for myself. It just helps me be a better me if I'm thinking in that way. So
Yeah.
that might be my
Well,
word.
and there is a freaking energy shift when you
Yes.
go from have to, got to, must have, all that stuff. And literally, even though you're telling yourself that it's a top-down initiative,
Yeah.
to go to what's possible. What can I do? Where are the options? What can I do with what I have? I mean, because all the time we're in this shutdown, negative, barriers go up.
That's
And
right.
that's what I tell clients all the time. It's like if you're getting this thing from somebody or something comes up and you're like, we can't possibly. Okay, so finish the rest of that sentence. We can't possibly do it with our current processes. We can't possibly do it. True. So here's the question. What needs to change?
That's right. That's so right.
You
Yes.
know, and then all of a sudden you open your brain up to going exploring and having fun and, like to your point, what's possible. That's where my business name came from, Better Possibilities,
Oh, I love it.
is there has to be options. What are the better possibilities? Instead of going, it's all there is,
Yep, yep,
nothing
yep.
I can
Well,
do about it.
I guess we're just gonna, be the victim. And that's like my worst thing. Like, no, no, you can't be the victim. You have to figure out what's a small step or micro action. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, keeps you moving forward. Thank you. I look forward to hearing about your podcast, community get together, because it dawned on me when you were talking about your community, you had a community when you were at work. You
I
had a
did.
community at corporate. And I think that's when I never
Yes.
dawned on me. But when you go out on your own and you're not around like-minded people anymore, you do need your people.
You really do. It took me a while to find the ones who didn't think I was crazy. Because I had the work people that were like, "Oh, she's just gonna be a
She's gone off her rocker. There's
what is
no
she
way.
thinking?" And they weren't wrong, but it was what I needed. And
Yeah.
yeah, I found those other folks, like I mentioned, and they're. I hope that I give to them as much as I receive from them because it's an amazing way to make it through the messy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as you're telling them the impact they've had on you, that's giving it back.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful. Then
Yeah.
it's a good,
So,
I feel too like these people, it's like manifesting almost, which I know can be a silly term, but I think when you do start to see and give that energy, you get it back a little bit, and
mhm.
that's really neat. So,
That's not a silly term, by the way.
But 3 years.
Yeah.
It's been 3 years, so
Yeah.
I had to
Not
stick
a
with
silly
it.
term.
I was
You're
not going to
good.
give up, but anyway, yeah, it's been good. I'm thankful.
Yeah. I love it. I appreciate your time and the
Thank you so much.
conversation.
I appreciate
Yeah,
the
it's
invitation.
it's cool to chat with you and hear your things and your journey of going through, because it's a lot better with we don't have it all figured out,
We don't.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
So I love it. What 1 to 2 things would you love people to walk away with just on all the stuff that we chatted about?
Mm. I just love the idea that if people are trying something new, it's going to be hard. It'll feel hard, but you
Hmm.
can make it through. It's just new. Um, Believe in yourself, I guess. Keep going. And then the second one, I like what you said. Just stay curious about things. Try to just, of anything that sort of energizes you or engages you, you stay curious about those things and trust yourself.
Hmm.
That's probably three, but yeah.
Yeah. No, you're good. When you were saying that, the visual I had was just turning rocks over or peeling back the onion, right? You're like,
Hmm.
what else is here? And don't get discouraged from the first pass out if it doesn't air quote work, right?
Yeah.
What did you learn? What's one thing that got you a little bit closer to that thing? And I think that's the stuff. It's like
Yeah.
that's what we're here on earth for,
I
to
think
learn
so
and
too.
grow and get better. And then the recommendation I'll make to people, and I do it to myself all the time, is we're so focused as humans on the goal ahead, and
Yes.
we get discouraged because we're not at that end point.
Mm-hmm.
Freaking look back.
Look back.
Where are
Love
you
it.
now, right, Kathleen, from 3 years ago when you first started out? Where am I from 5 years ago when I started, or four,
Yes.
4.5, 5? So, I mean, and then celebrate the progress. What are you able to do now that you couldn't do before? What's easy for you? It's like you talk about fearful of podcasts. There's no way I could do that. And here we are talking, and you're going to launch your own. That's
Yes.
huge. That
I
is
know it's so
huge.
fun. It's so fun.
Yeah. So
But yeah,
I encourage everybody.
me too. Thank you so much. It's been really awesome talking with
Yeah.
you and just
Yeah.
having similar thoughts on the journey.
Yeah. Oh, it is one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Until next time, this is Leadership Soundbites with Michelle and Kathleen. Please like, share, subscribe. If you know somebody who'd be great on the podcast, let me know. And have a freaking awesome day. Thank you.